Hello guys, it's Wen here and today in this video I'm gonna do something special. As you already noticed that I'm speaking in English right now, and that's the thing I'm gonna do today. So in this video I'm gonna go through my topic in only English, and I hope I'm gonna make it. It's gonna be a challenge for me, but anyways, I'm still gonna do it. I'm not here to teach a language today, so if there is any grammatical errors that I make, I need you to pardon those errors. Just focus on what's really important in this video, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. And let's get started. Today's topic is about pros and cons working for Qatar Airways. The reason why I'm doing this topic again is because I found that those pros and cons I provided you in previous videos are a little bit scattered. So that's why I've decided that it's better for me to do a very detailed and thorough video about pros and cons of working for Qatar Airways again, so you could have a clearer picture. Before we talk about Qatar Airways pros and cons, I would love to give you a little bit Qatar Airways background. Number one, Qatar Airways is the national airline of Qatar. So in Qatar, there is only one airline, which is Qatar Airways. Number two, if you work for Qatar Airways, it means that you will be based in Qatar, Doha. You will be living in Doha throughout your cabin crew journey with Qatar Airways, because that is the only base they have for a cabin crew. Number three, Qatar is not Dubai. Qatar Airways is not Emirates. They're totally different, even though they're so close to each other. So Qatar's capital city is called Doha. And number four, which is Qatar Airways, they have their own grooming department. And I would say they will be the only airline that actually form up this department in their company. And for this grooming department at Qatar Airways, their work is to check your grooming, check your appearance before your duty on every flight. Either before or after your briefing, you'll be having someone coming into the room to check appearance of every cabin crew. So if you have some severe pimples that are noticeable to the grooming officer, congratulations, that day you will be offloaded from a flight, which means that you will be put on grooming until the conditions on your face are getting better. Or if you have scars, if you have something that they notice that you are not presentable enough to be on the flight, they will offload you from the flight. They will not offload you, they would rather give you some verbal notification to tell you to improve them. For example, if your uniform is getting tighter, they will tell you to adjust your uniform on your days off. If you have your hair dyed and your roots are coming out, they will be telling you that, oh, you have to dye your hair after this duty, something like that. This is actually their job at the grooming department. If you are very excited that they have grooming department in Qatar Airways, please do not get so pumped up, because they will not teach you how to do makeup. You have to learn everything on your own. Grooming department is only there to check your appearance. They are not there to give you advice on how to apply your makeup. They will just send you emails how to take care of your skin, and that's all you will get from grooming department, nothing more. And they will also check how long your skirt is above your kneecaps and the width of your finger rings, and whether you are able to wear the glasses on a duty or not. So this is the thing that you will encounter if you work for Qatar Airways, and this is also one of the things that make Qatar Airways very famous. And the next thing is that minimum rest and curfews are two big things about Qatar Airways. Basically, if I tell people about Qatar Airways, the first thing that comes into their mind is, oh, so you have curfew, oh, so you have minimum rest, no matter how old you are. As long as you are cabin crew with Qatar Airways, you have these two things in your life. And the last thing I would love to provide you about their background is that Qatar Airways, or Qatar, was the one who held the FIFA 2022 back then, and that makes Qatar Airways more exposed to the world. Alright, so now let's get down to the topic of the day. Oh my god! So later on, while I am providing pros of working for Qatar Airways, I will be also adding the cons next to it, so it's easier for everyone to weigh the pros and cons in the meantime. The first thing we are going to talk about Qatar Airways, which is the pro work for Qatar Airways, is you only need high school diploma to apply for the cabin crew job at Qatar Airways. I mean, not only Qatar Airways, but also for most of the Middle Eastern airlines, you only need high school diploma, and that's enough for you. You know, like for most of the Asian airlines, you need to at least have university degree just to apply for the job. I mean, that's the basic criterion we need to have. With that, I mean that it's very good for people who love to explore themselves thoroughly before they actually enter into college or university. Because if you don't know what you want to pursue in your life, and if you just visit university and college right after your high school, it could also be a waste of time. So, which is relatively a good idea, I would say. There comes a disadvantage. The disadvantage is that on board for people like us who actually have some work experiences and also have the university degrees, we are a little bit more sophisticated, I would say. Just personal opinion I'm giving out here. I'm not judging anyone, but I met people who actually don't know that they cannot put plastic into the microwave. And yes, you will see those people on board. It's not about their degree, it's about the common sense. So I'm just telling you that there will be a huge gap of knowledge of each of crew. This is just my personal opinion and the things I've encountered on board. It's not really about that having high school diploma is less than people who have university degree. I totally don't agree with that idea. It's just that what I have observed before. Now let's get to the second point. The second thing that is nice to work for Qatar Airways is that you will get free accommodation. And this is nothing new to everyone. In my previous videos, I've emphasized that over and over again. There are lots of Middle Eastern airlines. They also offer free accommodation, which are Emirates and Etihad. With this benefit, you definitely need to do some sacrifices, right? These two sacrifices are the minimum rest they have and also the curfew they put on the crew. Minimum rest and curfew are two infamous rules that Qatar Airways have for every cabin crew. And I believe if you Google it online, you will see lots of things regarding minimum rest and curfew about Qatar Airways. For those people who haven't actually watched my previous videos, I'll just do a very brief introduction about these two silly rules. Minimum rest for Qatar Airways is something like a mandatory 12-hour rest you have to conduct before your duty. And it's not only one duty, it's each duty you have to follow the minimum rest. And apart from duty, if you also have training, there will be minimum rest for you as well. So it's not just about the flying job, it's also about your on-ground duty, which is like training or something regarding that. The second rule is the curfew. Curfew is a rule that forces you to stay at home from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. even when you are having your off days, which means that if you have a day off in Qatar, you have no flying job, you have no duty, you have no training, you have nothing. It's just your day off. You still have to follow the curfew, which is 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. You have to stay inside accommodation. Some people would be asking that, can I stay in the hotel or crash at my friends' places who are not working for Qatar Airways and live out there and it's my day off? May I stay outside but not in the accommodation? The answer is no, a huge no. As long as you are in Qatar, as long as you are Qatar Airways cabin crew, you have to stay at home from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. Follow the curfew in your accommodation. And believe me, if you break either one of them, most of the time you're going home, you will be terminated, you will be fired from the company straight away. There would be no negotiation, you know. There were actually examples that they got away with breaking the minimum rest or curfew thing, but very, very, very less of them survived from it. So I would say having the free accommodation, meaning you have to let go of some of your private time, I would say. There was actually one time I have already checked my pickup time for my duty for the next day. I wrote the pickup time down. I calculated my own minimum rest time. Luckily that day, I was home an hour earlier than my minimum rest starting time. So the next day, when I was waiting for my transport, my bus to come to pick me up, I was waiting for the bus for almost like 10 minutes. I was a little bit confused. So I went on my cabin crew website and checked it up again, my cabin crew system, and check it again. I noticed that the company just changed my pickup time without giving me any notification. I was always on time. It's something that had never happened to me for the past 2 years, but for that year in 2023, I encountered this and I was so shocked. And I've actually heard of people having this kind of problems before, but I've never really experienced that. But just that day, it really happened to me. So my first reaction was to call the cabin crew welfare department. The welfare department at Qatar Airways is someone who helps you sort things out. And for me, I know I could just take Uber to go to work, but that's not the thing I want because I've already followed my minimum rest. I followed your rules. I told myself I will not be spending any penny just to report to work on time, just because of the company made this kind of mistake without telling me. You know what? I called welfare. I told her that, oh, this happened. What am I gonna do? Are you gonna assign me another bus? And if I report late, will not own this kind of mistake because it's nothing on me. It should be on the company. So after describing the situation I was having that day to that lady, she just told me that, darling, it's your duty, right? It's your job, right? So just take Uber and go to work. Why are you telling me this? I was very pissed off that day. I followed everything. I followed your rules. I followed everything from you. And I actually expected the same respect from you just to assign me another crew bus. But that lady from welfare department simply just told me that, you know what, just own it, tuck it up, and then take your own Uber, spend your own money on Uber and go to work because it's your work. That was one of the bad experiences I had with Qatar Airways. So I would recommend people who are about to work for Qatar Airways, just remember to take screenshot of each of your pickup time. Do not miss out single time of it because if you miss it out, you don't want it to happen. You don't want the same experience that I've had. Well, just to be aware of this. Now here comes the third reason why I'm happy to work for Qatar Airways. You will be offered free transportation. Unlike other airlines, you have to arrange your own transport. At Qatar Airways, they will arrange everything for you. But as I mentioned earlier, they sometimes change your pickup time without telling you. So it's really better for you just to check your cabin crew system very often right before your duty because they might just change it all of a sudden, even though you checked it 10 minutes ago. And now here comes the fourth point. So I wouldn't say it's especially for Qatar Airways. If you work in Qatar, you will be receiving a tax-free salary, meaning you don't have to pay any tax. So I don't see any disadvantage of that actually. Straight away to the fifth point. The fifth point is one of the reasons why I still find Qatar Airways, even today, I still find Qatar Airways quite appealing because they have a very promising network expansion. When I say expanding, meaning that you might be flying to somewhere you don't even know that exists in your life ever. This is gonna be a long example list. Since it's too long, I've noted down some of the destinations I've never heard of before this job. Abuja, destination Lusaka, and destination Nairobi, they're in Africa. I've never known these cities until I worked for Qatar Airways. You're gonna fly to Bangladesh, Dhaka, for example. I have never pictured myself being in those countries and in those cities if it were not for Qatar Airways. And of course, Europe, you're going to Rome, you're going to Milan, you're going to Nice. There are so many destinations in Europe if you fly with Qatar Airways. With this huge expansion of Qatar Airways network, it allows you to travel to those cities and countries you have never imagined or you have never ever known in your life. It was a very interesting experience for me, I would say. And now here comes the disadvantage of this huge expansion network Qatar Airways has. In some of my videos, I have mentioned that Qatar Airways, they are trying to shorten your layovers in some certain countries. With the shortened layovers, most of the time, we barely could really rest really well. This is not the thing you want to experience almost on every of your duty. It's gonna affect your body a lot, without doubt. This is the example that I got from my friends, not only one friend, but lots of friends who have US visa. It has happened for a while now. I don't know if things changed already at Qatar Airways, I'm not sure. If you are operating US flight, you know the time difference is huge. So this is very difficult for cabin crew because for some people, even though you are the person who can sleep right away, it's still not enough for you because of the jet lag, right? Because of the time difference. The US flight, it is the ultra long haul flight, and there are so many things you have to do at Qatar Airways on an ultra long haul flight. The services are a lot. There are endless of meal services with Qatar Airways if you are traveling on the ultra long haul flight. This is why, after knowing Qatar Airways has shortened more layovers in some certain destinations, a lot of cabin crew were not happy, but there was nothing actually we could do apart from reporting fatigue or writing the emails to the company and tell them that it's not enough of rest for us outstation. It still depends on the company whether or not they want to listen to the cabin crew. This is a disadvantage of the huge expansion of network because more destinations meaning they need more crew. While Qatar Airways needs more crew, they are actually terminating people non-stop, and people are resigning from this company non-stop. Now, number 6. The 6th point that I like to work for Qatar Airways is because they offer you free annual ticket. One free annual ticket every year. And then the second thing is you will be having your ID tickets for yourself, for your own cabin crew. You are gonna have ID tickets. And for ID tickets, there are different kinds of ID tickets. And for now, I only remember ID 90 and ID 50. So ID 90 means that you are gonna get 90% of discount on your plane ticket, on your travel fare. ID 50 meaning you're gonna have 50% discount on your travel fare. That is for yourself, cabin crew. And apart from the cabin crew ID tickets, there are also things called body pass. So body passes are the tickets you are able to offer to your friends, to your families, to whomever, as long as you register their names in your cabin crew system. And for their body passes, you cabin crew, you will be the one to buy the ticket for them. You are able to let your friends travel at a lower price. For body pass, there are also body pass ID 90, body pass ID 50. ID 90 means 90% of discount, ID 50 means 50% of discount. Here comes the disadvantage of having the body passes or ID tickets. I don't see it as disadvantage, but if you really want me to say, it could be a con. Whenever you are using this ID discounted tickets, either for your friends or for yourself, there would be a dress code for you. For example, I'm the cabin crew of Qatar Airways and I'm traveling to somewhere with my ID tickets. When I show up at the airport, I have to follow the dress code, which means I have to be in casual business attire, meaning I cannot just have my shorts with my t-shirt. No, I have to dress properly just to show up for the flight because I am using my ID tickets. Same rules apply to your friends who are using your buddy pass ID tickets. They have to follow the dress code as well.
Fly so high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding